Oi, oi! I'm back with another video for the normal Cheltenham channel. And I say the normal Cheltenham channel because I've been doing bits with GG this season in quite a big way. So that's been really good and helpful for me. And then I've been doing bits with Which Bookie as well to help boost their YouTube channel. So I can mention a few bits that are coming up from both of those, I guess, in here. Spoiler alerts, maybe. But I've been having more Ante-Post bets as well. So I wanted to do an update for that because there is definitely one at this stage that I would love to recommend. I'd imagine people have got this on their radars anyway. So we'll talk about that one specifically. I'll do that fairly quickly now. I feel as well in this video, I don't want to keep it too long. You guys know I like to waffle, but I feel like it's worth me talking about a few of the races at the Cheltenham Festival with a view to the fact that, you know, we're 4 weeks out now. There are opportunities to still get used to some value in a lot of the markets, in my opinion, and especially with non-runner money back concessions that are currently sat there, and even more so with companies like Bet365 where you do have the option for cashing out as well. I'm starting to look at a few muggy each way bets, and I say muggy because I'm looking at them from the perspective of I don't really care about the winners of those ones, but I think I can link a few place bets up. So again, I'll talk about ones that I've got on my radar for that, not necessarily saying you have to follow me in. All of this content comes out there as I'm telling you what I'm doing and what my thoughts are. Obviously, always just make your own decisions off the back of it. But it may be a case that lots of you do these types of things, like I've talked about block bets in the past. We could talk about that in this video as well. I like to try and introduce people to different methods for betting. I'm saying that like, not that I know more than anybody else or that people don't know what I'm about to talk about, but it may be that there are people on this channel that don't do this as often or as much as I've done in the past. There will be plenty of people that watch this channel that have been doing it for as long as I have, betting Ante-Post and things like that. So yeah, apologies if it's sort of like teaching your grandmother to suck eggs type stuff, but it's still value, I think, because I'm going to be telling you what I fancy, and you either want to know which ones to follow me in on or which ones to potentially avoid. Now, the bet for this particular week, it's in my GG Ante-Post book column. I've been putting a few out and about on there recently. The one that's gone for this week that I definitely makes me feel like it's video worthy is Transmission for the National Hunt Chase. Now, this horse is 9-1 non-runner money back with Bet365. You can still get 12-1 in the outright Ante-Post market. Of course, in that outright Ante-Post market, your stake is at risk. But Neil Mulholland said that that's the race that they go into. My only reservations about not putting this horse up earlier, or not even betting him earlier, to be fair, is he was always a juicy-ish enough price. Like, I don't think he's ever been too much bigger than sort of 12s anyway. And then even now when it's starting to shorten up a little bit, I've looked at some horses that I thought like Chapeau de Soleil could end up being like a National Hunt Chase type, but he's not had the run over 3 miles. I mean, I know horses can still potentially qualify for it, but there was more threats I was worried about through the season. Whereas now it's got to this point, I think we've got a good idea of who's going to line up. So I'm more than happy to strike now. And I'm happy to strike with the non-runner money back as well. The equivalent of not betting him Ante-Post and betting him non-runner money back is it's going to cost you 20% more. So I'll pull it up on the screen like I always try to do. I've had £60 win on him for the race as opposed to me having £50 in the Ante-Post market, because that would have paid £650, so £600 profit. This 60 quid will pay 660 or 600, so it's 540, isn't it? So it's in and around the same sort of thing. You know where I'm at with it. The stake obviously comes off, so that's where I've talked about those 20%. So I'm a tiny bit off with that. Just thinking out loud, maybe I need to tweak the article. Anyway, take advice from someone that gets things wrong. But yeah, he's one of those horses that at the start of the season, do you remember the conditional a few years back when he won the Ultima, I think it was? He won at the October meeting, and it was one of those performances where you just look at it and think, wow, he wins an Ultima. Start of last season when Chianti Classico went to Chepstow, I said it before the race, but we said it after, that goes and wins an Ultima. What he did in that November meeting when he slammed a few rivals, when he was well backed and Patrick was on board, it was very impressive. Even his run before behind Highland, even his run after behind Haiti Couleurs, like, it's all good. And they've kept running him at Cheltenham. He was obviously very good at Plumpton before. He likes this track, so I'm happy with him. He definitely stays all day. We know that from when Joe Anderson had to ride him at Plumpton after making a big mistake, almost ride of the season type stuff, wasn't it? Or I think it probably would have been. And you know that he's just going to be a dour stayer. And with the fact that it's not a traditional National Hunt Chase now and it being a handicap, I think he would have still been fancied for a National Hunt Chase despite the potential class difference. But he's now got a £4 swing with that Haiti Couleurs run. Even if he didn't have the swing, the extra half a mile meant for me that he would beat that horse. And Haiti Couleurs did run at Newbury the other day. A fine, nice hurdle prep for him, but I don't know. I potentially was expecting a teeny tiny bit more from him, although he's run well. And I know Transmission's prepped, but he prepped at Cheltenham in a race where he was due to get battered, and it was just the case of running more than anything. So look, I'm quite keen on this horse, to be fair. 4 places up for grabs as well. So where I talked about building some Maltese in there for the place perspective of it, I don't even mind like him being chucked in there, especially in there. So we'll talk about some of the other ones that I've got on my, I guess, semi-radar for. It's probably easier if I just skim through every single race, right? So again, I'm going to try and keep it relatively short, but say what needs to be said. So Supreme, Copec de Board looks bomb proof, but it's novice hurdles and we have to see. Salvatore Monday I did quite like before, but it was almost by default. Like, I don't want the hood tongue tie horse to be the one that you're steaming into on there. I'd already bet him Ante-Post, happy to sit with that, and I think most people will have had as well. But it looks like a race, right? New Lion's not going to come in here. Does really look like a race where if Kawabunga comes in, you'd put him on the shortlist. But if he doesn't come here, it's Salvatore Monday, Romeo Coolio and Workhead fighting for the places. Some firms might go 4 or 5 places on the day, but from an each way perspective, Copec de Board's going to win, but you could roll some sort of even money place up on those ones. And I know people will say with those each way bets, you don't want to just throw away the win part, but if you forget about the win part and just start perming up the bottom parts of it, you can look at some races slightly differently. So that speaks volumes when we look at the Arkle now. Obviously, Segino's no longer there. That's very sad news, but it does mean Lodesed's 4-1 in a race that now, after they've had the confirmation today in scratchings, Impere Pass has come out, Mr. Gift's come out, Ballyburn's in the betting, he's not going to come here. Only by Nate's in the betting, probably will come here. But Django Bay, they might drop him back, but they might not. They might just wait for Aintree, mightn't they? Then you've got Touch Me Not, Firefox, Gidley Park, Springwell Bay, Caldwell Parter, Jordan's, Caliph de Berde. Like, you get into like quite a big prices towards the end of it, but it may be a field that cuts up. 3 places Lodesid at 4-1. Again, if you forget the win part, because we're going to say that the intention of this bet is that they're not expecting them all to win. The place part again there, 50 odds, it's going to pay 4-5 for that to roll up. So he's probably going to shorten up. His best effort was at Cheltenham, wasn't it? And I just think that there's too much of a gap between the two of those in the market. Some of the bigger races, like a handicap chase at the Ultima, I would be looking more to do block bets on some of these at bigger prices. Lowry's Bar, the trainer and the jockey have now come out and said that they're targeting this race. I know he's going to run at Ascot this weekend, but it looks like a prep run going into there. So we are where we are with that. Mare's Hurdle, you could make a bit of a case that July Flower could go in there because maybe Brighter Days Ahead and Lossy Mouth don't come in here. From a place perspective, if they did both come in here and it's only 3 places up for grabs, July Flower, to my mind, would be fighting for 1 spot. So could be on the radar, but not going to be. Champion Hurdle, you could do a little related there. July Flower and Lossy Mouth, because Lossy Mouth, it's 3 runners in this Champion Hurdle. As it stands at the moment, we've only got 10 horses, I think, that are left in the field. I wonder if I'm wrong on that, but I don't think I am. And they're not all going to run. So the 3 places up for grabs on that looks massive. A lot of people will probably argue that maybe Burdett Road might be the way to go as well. He's 20s, but you could start thinking about that. The Fred Winter, there's lots of horses that potentially could have chances in it, and it will depend massively on the weights. The Nace race on Saturday, the opener, has provided 4 of the last 6 winners of the Fred Winter. That was Bacchanalian that got the job done there. Mercia was, I guess, eye-catching in behind, but she's had 6 spins now, keeps making mistakes. Bacchanalian was having a turnaround of 7 days, so I'd be equally as keen on him. Willie de Hall's obviously interesting, having been really fancy for Triumph. We'll see what sort of mark he gets. Naturally Nimble could be interesting. There's loads of them. There's loads of JP horses for Joseph that he's put out in a stable tour that could have a chance. So look, you'd have to see where that one sits after, but 4 places for that, and at this stage, I wouldn't be looking to put one of them in the sort of placey roll-up type ones. I talked about the National Hunt Chase. I know there's some good horses in there, but I fancy Transmission. He's just such a plodder. He's got to be there or thereabouts. Turner's Novices Hurdle on the Wednesday. Final Demand, I think, is a Bartlett horse. And I think the only reason Willie Mullins isn't running him in a Bartlett is because he's only had 2 runs. And that worries me a tiny bit because you look at Turner's Hurdle winners and you kind of expect that they could have won a Supreme as well. I don't feel like that with Final Demand. He deserves to be at the head of the market. He's about the right price now. The New Line, we did a GG video a while back and said that he was like the lay of the festival. All 3 of us agreed on that. And he was sort of 2-1, 9-4 at that time. He's 11-4 now. He is clearly a very good horse. He's getting more towards the price where he sort of should be. I just think he probably could have been a bit bigger before. So again, it depends who sort of comes in here. I've backed the Yellow Clay for the race. Gordon keeps saying he's coming to this race. I know everyone else thinks he's going to an Albert Bartlett. If he came here, he'd be one that I'd be looking at for sort of the placey each way Yaka type stuff, but it could end up being a losing leg within this bet if you put him in now. James's Gate I fancy for a Coral Cup, but I don't know if they're going to be able to get another run into him before then. They might just want to go and win a pot where the conditions don't require him to need another run like they were going to at the Dublin Race Festival. But he was coughing then. Haven't seen if there's any entries for him this weekend yet. It's only about 1 o'clock when I'm recording this. But yeah, I'm talking too much about a race. Lets you know that at the moment I don't think there's like a little muggy each way you want to go in there. The Brown Advisory, I do think it's Ballyburns for the taking. He's shortened up. He was 2-1 after the Dublin Race Festival. I expect him to be about 6-4. He's gone into 7-4 today after some of those scratch-ins. When you look behind him for sort of, again, like I say, the muggy each way bet, Dancing City would need a slop to be showing his best effect, although he will stay on. Better Days Ahead I do like. We've already bet him. I wasn't overly blown away with what he did in Navan, but he needs to get towed along for a lot longer. So he's sort of there or thereabouts. But there are lots of horses in here that could be fighting for places. So again, I don't really feel anything that jumps out in there. Coral Cup, there's loads of horses to be on the radar for this, so we'll leave that one for another day. Cross Country Chase, I'm adamant that Stumptown wins. Depends how much the handicapper penalises him, didn't it? But if he only puts him up £7 or under, then I think Stumptown's a good thing. But again, I'd leave that one. There might be something in there. You guys probably would know this race better than I would, but it's not one that I'm trying to find something. I know Mr. Coffee could potentially run well in there, but being the nature of the race that it is, I'd never get heavily invested, but I just thought Stumptown won so well. Keith Donoghue knows what he's doing in this race. I think he's just the winner of the cross country, so I wouldn't... I know I said we forget about the win part, but I wouldn't want to be putting in the bang fire winners in here. I'd rather be taking a bit more of a risk on the bigger pricey bits. That's where the Champion Chase comes in. John Bond's 4-5. Next up, we've got LA Francais at 4-1. He's got to go Ryanair. Gaelic Warrior could go Ryanair, could come here. You'd think they'd come here because it was an Arkle winner last year, wasn't it? But it was a very slowly run Arkle, and it was favourite for a stay as the back end of last year. So I don't know if he's quick enough to win a Champion Chase. Then you've got Nergamine sat in the betting at 7-1, and I feel like he's a two-time winner of this. Yes, he's probably too old to win this race, but like, it was 8-13 John Bomb, 9-4 Nergamine when they ran in that Clarence House Chase. Ile Francais is going to go. Let's imagine a world where Gaelic Warrior didn't line up. Banbridge isn't coming here, he's going to Gold Cup. El Fabiola, they keep talking about stepping up in trip. And if he does come here, I mean, I probably couldn't let him go unbacked at 10-1, but this might just be a stepping stone to winning something else. Marine Nationale, he's been much better in his last couple of runs, but I was disappointed he didn't get it done last time. Solness will obviously go off quick. And I know we've got lots of British horses like Liberty Hunter, Master Tune, Matark that people try and make cases for, but they're not getting close to a John Bon or an Energamine, are they? So a Energamine would be one that I'd look at thinking, yes, we may still get the 3 places on the day, but we're not going to get too much more than that. And I think Energamine's price is only going to contract if he gets there. Look, he is a 2-time Champion Chase winner. And I do think John Bond's fine at Cheltenham, but John Bond's yet to post a 170 RPR in Cheltenham. When he ran in the slower chase a couple of years ago, I really thought he was on track to probably getting close to a 180 RPR, and they didn't quite see the race out. Was the start of the season, so I'm probably being really harsh on there, but I just mean that Energamine's best form is at Cheltenham. There isn't much between the two of them on figures, despite the fact that Energamine is an old boy now. So from an each way bet, from the perspective of maybe Energamine isn't going to win this because he's too old, I struggle to see him out the 3. And the 7-1 about him, again, when you take the place coming down, will bolster those other bets. So he's on my radar, and he's in a couple of my little poor ones that I've done. Grand Daniel will be another race that I'll leave for a little bit, but there are some horses that are on the radar for that. Champion Bumper, I would definitely leave that to nearer the time, but there could be some horses that you like. There is only 3 places up for grabs at this stage on an Ante-Post book, though, whereas when you get nearer the time, you'll probably get 4, maybe even 5. Mares Novices Hurdle. Maureen, I get the whole everything about it. Like Ruby keeps saying, a lot of people, I think we're all in a similar disposition that probably is short enough. 6.5 looks quite good. 3-1, 6.5, where there's 3 places up for grabs. I don't think any of the British horses are that good. Jubilee Alpha's jump's a little bit weird. I do think that 6.5 has got to be in the frame, so that would be potentially one to go in the little placey part. The Novices Handicap Chase I'd leave, although Jaguar does look well in for that race. I say well in, just looks like he's bound to be much better than he was the last day, given he was so weak. Potemps would be a race that I'd just leave alone. I'm not so good in that. But if the Wool Park ran in there again, this is non-runner money back, that would be massive. JP's bought this horse to run him in a Stayers Hurdle. If they decided to come in here instead, that would speak volumes. You could see him going off short. So again, the non-runner money back would make him look a bit attractive at this stage, I guess. Ryanair Chase, Factor is 11 to 8 for this, but I think he's got to go Gold Cup, isn't he? I'm talking about non-runner money back markets, isn't it? Ile France's 4 to 1. 4 to 1 Ile France if he lined up in a Ryanair, despite the fact that he's not run at Cheltenham and wouldn't tick a few of the boxes for those reasons. And I know he's been a bleeder in the past and like flopped every now and again, but he'd be a seriously tempting sort of place angle in the each way Acker's in there, but he hasn't got any of mine yet, so I don't want to overstate his case too much. Stairs Hurdle looks like it's ripe for it, doesn't it? But it depends on the ground massively. Like Ante-Post's unbeatable if it's soft or slower. And while we've had, I think 6 of the last 7 have been soft ground festivals, all the ones before that in this century have been good, and then there's been a handful that have been good to soft. So I feel like if the ground comes up quicker for him, it brings more of a chance in for like a lucky place, the Wall Park, for Langadan to potentially stay, and even Home by the Lee. I know he's been batting this race a few times, but they've all been on bad ground, whereas quicker ground and the way that he's running this season, it's not out of the realms to make him bridge the gap. But again, 3 places at this stage, you'd have to wait for conditions to come in their favour. There would potentially be something to do with those, but I wouldn't particularly want to pounce now. Even if you put a line through the race right and said that TOP doesn't run here, who would win the Stairs Hurdle? There isn't like a standout candidate in behind like there is like a Lodersud for an Arkle, for example. The plate, again, few horse on the radar, but we won't go into this. Kim Muir, few horse on the radar, won't go into that just yet. Triumph Hurdles, tricky one. Don't think the Irish horses are that good. East India Dock and Lulamba, where they are in the market, is probably about right. If they were 2 to 1 the pair, I know Lulamba's like 2 to 1 in one place, but 7 to 4 most places. I think everyone would definitely want to back Lulamba. When you see that the non-runner money back option for especially Bet365 is Lulamba at 11 to 8, that's tight, but then only 5 to 2 East India Dock also feels tight. So I'd be leaving that one. And again, the terms are only 3 places at this stage. It's going to be a reasonable size field, I'd imagine. Yeah, leave that one. County Hurdle, again, type of race that handicaps will block them later on. I'll do a block bet video at some point on the channel. Mare's Chase, I've gone all around the place on this one. Like I did really expect that Impervious would be the one to come and go and win this race. I don't think she's in it now. I think she's been scratched from the race now. So like, it was a non-runner money back bet. So no harm done in there. But Allegory Devas is the one that keeps coming back to me, although she cost me a chunk for a place last year when she couldn't even get 3rd. So I'm all over the shop with that race. I'll leave that one alone till much closer to the time. I think last year Limerick Lace was like maybe like 6 to 1 or something a week before the race and then got smashed on the day. It's one of those years, again, it's one of those types of races, isn't it, where the market will probably speak volumes and you can maybe wait a little bit. Albert Bartlett, I don't really have too much on my radar for this, so we're happy to skip past that. Gold Cup, I want there to be a lovely, obvious each-way play in behind, and it probably is Factor at 6 to 1 because while the extra trip you can't see him reversing the form of Gallup and Deschamps, take everything else out of it, he's entitled to stay just as well as Banbridge would. And I think he's, I won't be rude, but like, mate, is he a better horse than Banbridge? Like, potentially. Corbett's Cross is very interesting in there as well. Again, it's a relatively small field. You might have an opinion in there, but with it being an odds-on favourite in there, that one's ripe for rolling some more money into it. Hunter's Chase, Angel's Dawn, and It's on the Line. You'd imagine those two will definitely be in the frame. Both of those are reasonable prices from the place perspective of this bet. It's on the Line being an absolute hound that he is. You'd expect that he'd be there or thereabouts, but he could easily throw the towel in, couldn't he? So Angel's Dawn's probably more of a solid option. And like I say, think about this as though you're not worried about getting the winners. You're just rolling up lots of like 4 to 5, 4 to 6 horses in there. And then the Martin Pipe, again, there'll be loads on the radar for this. We'll just have to see what Mark's horses get and who gets in where. But that'll be more for a block bet type one than it would be for the each way ACCA. So good to be back on the channel, putting something out here. I touched on the fact that there's some stuff coming out. We've got a decent GG Cheltenham preview, which is different from normal Cheltenham previews. I'm buzzing about that one. For which bookie, I will be doing a preview for each of the 4 days. So I guess something that would normally be on this channel will just be over there. I'll share that with you guys. You can go and see it. There's talks in the works, in the pipeline, something. In talks at the moment about doing a YouTube live as well for Cheltenham. So again, within that type of stuff, because I am doing this now as like full-time paid work, as well as like, because I was never going to make enough on the side from betting to be like full-blown salary type stuff. I've just got considerations with those types of things about what I can offer to people or what people are potentially interested in. And yeah, so it is that, but there's still going to be more content that comes out for you guys. I'll be doing all my bets videos like I do every single year, so I'll share with you exactly what I've staked for each of the days, so you can follow me through with that. I'll share everything that I'm recording with other people on other channels as well. So that'll be GG and Which Bookie. And then, like I say, the All My Bets will come back. I will do a block bet special for definite on this channel. Talk about the handicaps, going through those. So, yeah, you're all probably already subscribed. You're all already liking the videos because you do like it. But I'm sorry that I haven't been on it for so long. Just trying to keep everything going. But I'll be back very soon. Appreciate the support. Yeah, 4 weeks of Cheltenham. Let's go.